What is up, everybody? We've got a pretty fun match for you tonight, Southern Cross versus Real. My name is Private Genocide, and I will be your caster and commentator for tonight. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. It's been pretty busy in the Hyperdash world. Lots of scrims taking place this weekend, and everyone getting ready for the new season of Hyperdash. There's a new league going, and this time there's a bit of prize money, so lots on the line. Both teams today are league teams, so it's going to be quite a fun match. Absolute pure chaos. We have Southern Cross, a team mostly consisting of Australian-based players, versus Real. Let's get our handy drone to take us straight into the match. Now, we don't exactly know what the first map is going to be. I'm assuming it's going to be Waterway. What we can do is bring up the Waterway map. We can have a bit of a talk about that. So, Waterway, quite a lot of fun. We normally start off with teams in each of their bases, and the objective of Waterway is to push each of the team's buttons, with the center button being the B button. You need to have all three buttons pushed of your designated color, either red or blue, to lock out the enemy team for a certain amount of time, and then once the time has elapsed, then they are you've won the round. It's moving on to the next round. Generally, the teams would start off in their particular bases, capturing their base, and then getting into position, grabbing guns or sniper position, holding defense, while advancing to the second button being B, capturing, and moving on to capture the enemy's base. You would normally have somebody hanging around at B and one person hanging around at your own base, just to make sure that the enemy doesn't backtrack behind you and end up capturing those buttons, because that would be devastating if they had to do that. Once you've captured all of those buttons, you hold them down to prevent the enemy from capturing the button away from you, and then you win the round. Some pretty good spots to look out for is, let's open up our strat chat over here. You'll generally have a sniper sitting up anywhere along these positions over here. Always quite fun to watch in their view, because you get a nice view of what's going on in the game and where the teams are busy moving. Other busy areas is around B, where you'll find quite a lot of button pressing taking place. It's important to hold B as you're progressing through the map. It's your center button. It also means that if you are under pressure and somebody is trying to capture your button, by capturing that center button means, so if we were blue and you captured all three buttons, but the enemy team had just taken B, you would need to have somebody retreating back to B, or you would need to pull in somebody else from your base just to come and take that away. Generally, that means you have a lower population of enemies surrounding your base, and that means that you've got an easier time to capture that button. So quite a lot of work in getting to that, but these teams, they make quick work of that. They don't mess around. They'll be able to end a round very, very quickly if you are not in a very good defensive position. We've got our players in their strategy room, busy discussing how they're going to actually play throughout the map. Real sitting in their strategy room. Oh, we seem to have lost somebody. Both teams coming together. It's generally a good sign that we're about to get started. That doesn't seem to have changed. Keep an eye on that. And we are getting started.
2, 1, go. Blue takes C. Red first
Drone
elimination.
above B position. That's generally where a lot of the action is taking place.
Blue team scores in 3, 2,
Wow, that's fast.
1. Blue team wins this round.
Like I was saying in the strat chats, both these teams are so good. If you are not quick on your own feet, even as a caster,
Go.
you're just going to miss the match completely. And that's exactly
Red
what's
takes
happening.
A. First elimination.
Following Universal now.
Red takes C.
Trail, very good defense.
Blue
Basement.
team scores in
Wow.
3, 2, countered.
Good counter.
Blue team
Roxy Lucy.
scores countered. Blue team scores in 3, 2, countered. Blue team scores in 3, 2, 1. Blue team wins this round.
Southern Cross now got game points. They need one more point to win the match. Doing really well against Real at this
Match
stage.
point. Blue takes B.
Following
First
Crash,
elimination.
she's one of the better players from
Blue
Southern
takes
Cross.
B.
In fact,
Red takes A.
just about every member in that Southern Cross team is extremely impressive in terms of their
Blue
play.
takes B.
So this is Real's really got a hard time going up against Southern Cross members right now.
Blue team scores encountered. Red takes A. Red takes B.
Really, really good offense and defense from
Blue
the
takes A.
Universal ending
Blue
that.
takes
Really
A.
good.
Red takes A. Red takes B. Blue team scores in 3, 2, 1.
Blue team
wins.
has won the round. Let's have a quick look at the scores. They've done it on a team kill. So top dashes, we've got a trio sitting at 2,170 on the Scrim Cross team, with Layite sitting at 1,792 for Team Real. Very, very fast match. That's probably one of the fastest Scrim matches that I've seen. So good job to Southern Cross. Most likely going to be playing a payload type map coming up now. Keep our drone cam sitting here just to keep a good eye. Okay, so we do have a map change. We have a payload map with launch pad. Swap ourselves over to launch pad. To the teams probably going to head off to their own areas. Have a bit of a team chat. Launch pad. The objective of a payload type map is to push your payload from one side of the map to the other, while the enemy team is going to provide as much resistance as possible to make sure that you don't end up doing that. By pushing that payload, you need to have a team member standing on the payload to keep it moving. Each team member that is on the payload adds an additional 10% speed onto that payload as it's moving. That does cap at 3 people on the payload. Anything more than that, you're not getting much benefit from it. What we would find is the payload would move straight out of the gate and would potentially already find quite a bit of resistance happening over here. That resistance is going to come in from this top angle over here, where you've got quite a lot of area for the enemy to be firing down onto the payload. Some may even come down on the rail and come behind the payload over here, providing a lot of fire against the team as they're coming out of the gate, as well as shooting in all areas in this building over here. Payload, once moving past this position, is generally quite smooth sailing up until it gets all the way downhill and onto this first corner. This first corner over here, you're now being met with a bunch of fire along the top bridge over here, shotgun room, from being bombarded down with rocket launchers from just about any area over here, as well as a lot of 1v1 fights taking place all around this point over here. It's quite a busy time, and the payload seems to get stuck around about this area, so it's going to be up to the team to move that payload all the way through until they get to the next checkpoint. That checkpoint taking place right over here. Once that checkpoint takes place, the enemy's respawn point, which was over here, is now being moved all the way to the back over here. That means that they need to travel all the way down this rail to get to the new payload. So the payload generally has pretty smooth sailing up to about this corner over here when the enemy team eventually does arrive. It'll be up to the payload pushing team to defend the rails and defend any avenues where the enemy team can come and stop that payload. You generally find the payload will slow down in that area over there. Payload then makes its way uphill, so it gets to this point over here, where again there'll be quite a bit of resistance. The reason for the resistance is because the enemy, again, has multiple areas to fire upon that payload, stopping the payload pretty much in its track. But while this is happening, you'll also find that the team that is resisting against the payload might also push all the way down and try and keep the fight at the payload pushing team's spawn point over here. The longer that they can cause disruption and keep them over here, then the less payload movement opportunity is happening at the payload. Payload will then be pushed to its next choke point, which is over here. And the reason that there's a choke point over here is because, again, enemy team has multiple areas to fire upon against this payload. Once it gets over here, it's generally one of the hardest push points to get past until the final push. This corner is usually not a problem. It's right up to when the payload gets to about this point over here is when it comes to a grinding halt, and it'll be up to the team who is defending it to keep this payload in position. And again, that's because you have the team able to defend any approaching players from all directions on this payload, as well as disruptors pushing all the way back to try and make sure that the team doesn't get anywhere towards this payload. This is one of the hardest points in this map to get past. Once you can clear out the majority of your team and actually get that payload moving over here, you win. I think the teams are just about finished their strategy talk. And I think for our new viewers out there that are not familiar with, so I hope I've enlightened you to how payload works. It looks like we are just about ready to start. Universal giving a thumbs up, saying that they're ready. And it looks like that Southern Cross will be the first team to be pushing the payload.
Start.
We've got Emulked on shocks.
Match starts in 3, 2, 1, go. First elimination.
Sure you're clearing out Emulked pretty quickly there. Robston's sitting a little bit further back, making sure that nobody comes out of that door or comes into his door. Universal cleaning up. Roxy Lucy knows that Universal's around just somewhere. If communication is key, the team would have been told that Universal's disrupted. Cart moving very, very well. Pretty much without resistance at this point. He's happening so fast, I haven't even broken it. Nobody on the payload. Universal cleaning up any stragglers left behind. One person on payload. Who's on stocks? Nobody on payload. Universal now on payload. Minutes 28 in. It's pretty much given at this stage that Southern Cross is going to be reaching that checkpoint position. Crash and payload. Doing quite a lot of good movement over here. They've just about reached checkpoint. Have a quick look over here. Top dashes. We've got Universal sitting with 18 kills and 5 deaths. Score of 1,600 On Real's team, we've got Leads with 14 kills and 8 deaths, score of 1,692. Cart moving very fast, pretty much no resistance as they're coming around the corner. Trio and cart. Robsten cleaning out Universal over there, stealing the enemy's dash. It's taken up by Rembrandt right at the end. Roxy Lucy seems to be quite far back. Oh, cleaned up a trio of double rockets. Merely sporting double staples. Just taken out by Roxy Lucy. Oh, nice shot. Double kill from the trio, both with rockets. Triple kill. Absolutely insane. Can he go for the quadra? Quadra kill from a trio. Can he do a team one? Oh. Eventually gets taken out, but after doing that much damage, I'm pretty sure Real feels all of it. Universal holding a single shot. Gets taken out by the rock. Nobody on cart at this stage. Quite a lot of good resistance from red team. But they've got quite a long time to hold at this point. They've got just over 4.5 minutes to try and stop that payload from moving. And as you can see, it's going to be quite a lot. Payload now, moving. One person on, was Muley. Universal on carts. Rembrandt coming in from behind. This stage is not only disrupting, he's also making sure that his team has most opportunity to move at this point. Yeah, it's heading in for a little bit of disruption. It's taken up by Rembrandt from the main row. Trio's got a shield, trying to draw fire. Oh, ends up destroying himself in the payload. Crash, a trio, and Universal. Seems to be nicely grouped up in the back. That payload moving by Muley.
Switching sides. Prepare to start. Match starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Following Crash, a little bit late to the party.
Elimination.
Hovering around health points. Takes out Muley. Crash. Good job in removing a trio from the map over there. Moving quite nicely. Muley holding a nice defensive position. Just needs to hope nobody sees him. Oh. Gets taken out by the rock. The rock on cart. The trio is sitting with shocks, that much I can guarantee. Sorry, with rockets. And that's really something dangerous to have. You need to make sure that you end up getting those rockets taken out. Cart moving, one person on at the moment. Universal coming in from behind, gets taken out by the rock. Rembrandt on rockets, raining down the pain. It's really important that as a rocket user, you've got your teammates in front to try and keep the enemy away from you. That unfortunately wasn't the situation right now. Most of the red team was dead. Universal down, Muley down, Rock and triple kill, quadra kill, gets taken out by a trio. Got 2 rocket cruisers. Trio trying to hide as quick as possible. Universal all the way back to his base. One minute and 40 seconds to go. The cart has not yet reached checkpoint. It's too early to say at this point if they would. They're heading into a choke point. Email needs to fire a lot more consistently to keep Southern Cross members away. Good dive onto the payload with that last couple of meters. We've got the 1 minute alarm bell, looking at top dashes. We've got Crash sitting with 5,530 points, with the Rock sitting with 4,530 points. Payload moving without any resistance. Looks like Southern Cross gave them the checkpoint. Very nice of them. Yep. Southern Cross members retreated backwards, giving their opponents the checkpoints. Very, very good sportsmanship. Rembrandt just cleaning up everybody with shots. But 3, 4, all of Southern Cross teams surrounding the payload. They may have given them the checkpoint, but it doesn't mean that they're going to make the rest of the game as easy. Milk hunting down that kill. He didn't get it, but he did significant damage. He wanted it. Roxy hitting back for SMG. Payload just about up the hill on the final corner. Payload currently down. Rock should really be sitting on that payload, just trying to get those extra meters in. Payload, nobody's sitting on it. Trio seems to be heading backwards. Not too sure what he's doing. Universal in close range with snipers is quite unusual. just over 3 minutes in, looking at top dashes, we've got Crash sitting with 6,529, Universal right behind her, 6,075. Real's team, we've got Rocks in 5,784 with Leite in 5,201. Rembrandt had exactly what he wanted over there. He was causing disruption. Sometimes it's not just about getting the kills further back, but also about drawing the enemy's attention away from the payload. And he managed to get that by having two of those members waste their time chasing him. When it comes to playing Hyperdash, shooting and dashing is an important role to play, but it also comes down to strategy. How are you going to outplay the enemy? The most valuable resource when it comes to these objective-driven type match is time. Time is the most valuable resource. You want to try and waste it as much as possible. Payload coming around into the final band. Trio going backwards. Making sure to give payload some love. Crash sitting with double snipers. Both focusing on the rail as well as job. Webstein coming in on main rail. You try and flank Southern Cross. Not really. Gets taken out early by Muley. Roxy Lucy coming in.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Overtime, 3 people on payload. Now, 1 person on payload. They need to get somebody on quickly. No,
Red
their team
wins.
wins. Having a quick look at the scores. Oh, on camera. Universal 67 kills, 47 deaths with a score of 7,015. Followed by Crash Zone with a score of 7,011. Real having a kill of 57 Rock 45 kills, 57 deaths with a score of 6,525, with Liat following behind him with 5,750. Southern Cross down 1 member already, but they've won both games, which means that they've won the scrimmage. And the cast is going to cut it off there. This team might go ahead and play a deathmatch. This is quite likely. In the nature of our friendly competitions, we like to have a little bit of fun afterwards. But that calls the end of this casting. I hope you all enjoyed yourself and enjoyed listening to me drone on about the map. If you didn't like that, why not consider jumping in onto our Discord? There's a link in the description. And join our community, join us in Hyperdash, and tell me not to waddle on. Keep waffling about how the map's played out. I'd like to hear from you. My name's Private Genocide.